Bella.
Hello.
Hi, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Thank you for
Okay,
inviting me to speak.
yes. So, welcome to Bookmark Conversations with Penny. So, you are actually the first person that I'm interviewing. So,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
so excited. So, I launched this a few weeks ago, and I thought when I was looking at the authors that for the books that you've read, I was like, okay, I just want to start internationally, and I wanted to interview you. So, thank you so
Okay.
much for accepting it. And
Oh,
so,
you're
this is
welcome.
officially our interview, and I will be asking you questions based on I didn't want to give you the questions beforehand because it's not going to be exciting. So
Okay.
we are going to be editing not, like there and there, the videos, they're not live, like I said. So I have
Yeah.
questions based on your bio and what you gave me and what the ladies also have asked, for me to actually ask you based
Okay.
on the book that we have read, right?
Yeah.
So maybe
Okay.
like you just tell me about yourself, like maybe like a minute. Just tell me about Bella. Who's Bella? Let me just understand. I know the bio, but just like tell me about you. Like what you like, those kind of things.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Belle Henderson. Belle Henderson is actually my pen name. I came up with my pen name, I'm thinking about 6 years ago. I started writing books because my mum encouraged me to do so because my mum is an author, my aunt's an author, and so is my sister. So we
Mm.
all do it as like a little team, helping each other out with proofreading and editing and things like that. So yeah, it was actually my mum that inspired me to write. I live in England. I live in the southwest of England in a place called Swindon, which is not too far from Bristol, Oxford kind of way.
Okay,
About an
okay,
hour on the train from London.
okay.
And I live with my partner and stepson and my daughter, and they're 12 and 6. I actually got made redundant from my job in 2020 with
In
COVID.
COVID, yes,
I
yes.
actually volunteered redundancy and I decided to write a book called, it was my first book called Living La Vida Lockdown. It was about lockdown.
Mm.
And that was quite a challenging time for me, as I'm sure it was for many people.
So many,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so
Mhm.
I like channeled my, I suppose my um, frustrations
Frustrations. I was gonna say that.
into
That's
that
right.
book.
Yes,
Yeah, into
yes.
living into my first book, and it was really therapeutic to write actually because I looked at it through the lens of like comedy. So I forced myself to see the funny things about lockdown, like the ridiculous behaviour around the toilet roll and that kind of thing, but also about community as well. So
Yes.
it did help me. It helped me get through that time, and then from there, I just fell into writing more books.
Mm.
And to date now, I've written 7 in total. The
Okay.
first ever book I wrote was on maternity leave, and that was with my mum, and
Yes.
she was sort of showing me the ropes and things. So yeah, and from there on in, I've not stopped really. Yeah, I haven't written anything since my last release in September. Because I've had a few things like unfortunately my dad passed away in December, so
Okay.
I'm taking a bit of a break now, but I will definitely go back to it, and I feel like it will probably be quite soon as well.
Yes.
So
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so the book that we read from you is this one, not the
yeah,
plus one. Okay, so the questions on that we'll do that last. Okay, because
yeah, okay, yeah, sure,
they are coming from the book club ladies. So quite
yeah,
interesting
lovely,
questions based on the book. So I have quite
yeah,
a few questions that I wanted to talk to you about. Just
okay,
to give us more clarity and obviously based on what I've researched on you and some of the things you've touched on when you were introducing yourself. Okay,
yeah,
so you're just gonna talk more on those questions. Okay.
okay,
Okay, so you've told us a little bit. My first question was to tell us that your journey, on writing. So you
yeah,
mentioned your mom, that she's the
hmm
one who actually brought you into the writing space. So
yeah,
just like take us on through the journey, because I know that you are self-published. There is that company that you guys have as a family as well in terms of your printing and those kind of things. So just
Yeah.
tell us your journey of on becoming a writer. How did you become a writer? You know, like what prompted you is the job, like you were saying, it's your job that
Yeah.
you left your job, and by default then you became a writer. So my next question is, so while you're explaining that, if that didn't happen to you with the COVID, let's just say COVID didn't happen, do you think that you'll still be writing?
Maybe not. Because to be honest with you, I wrote that first book with my mum. And I went back to, so that was on my maternity leave.
Yes.
And then I went back to work with a bit of a heavy heart, really, because I thought, well, that's the end of that. I've given it a try. I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun, but there's no way I'd be able to give up my job and write because of finances and things. So I think that being made redundant sort of didn't push me into it, but encouraged me to do it. And I think I'm not sure, it's a hard one to, maybe I would have got into writing again, but at a later stage in my life. But I think it was COVID and being furloughed and being made redundant that enabled me to continue to write, to continue to write all of those books. And because of the situation that we were in at home, I just ended up being able to write another one, and then another one, and then another one. And I always had it in my mind that I would go back to employed work, but it just hasn't happened yet. So yeah,
6 books, right? 6 books you've written.
7, well, but 7 including the one I wrote with my mum.
With your mom, yes.
Yeah, yes. 7.
I will get to that point. I want to find out how that worked.
Yeah.
How that worked with your mom. So the other question is, in terms of writing, do you think your mom was the one that actually brought in the passion for you to write? If your mom was not an author, do you think that you would have written something? Do you think you would have written? No.
No, I think she's influenced my whole family. I mean, she's loved writing her entire life. And when she wrote her first book in 2013, I think it was, when she released her first book, we were all like in absolute awe of her. We were so excited. And then it was my auntie that caught the bug in 2018. And now my auntie is actually, she's under 2 pen names, and she's with Boldwood Books as well. You know, the publisher Boldwood. They snapped her up. So she's extremely successful, and as is my mum. And then obviously I got into it, and then my sister. So if it wasn't for my mum, none of us would be writing. And I think it's not just only us as a family. My mum's inspired other authors as well, other writers as well, that have come to her for advice.
Wow.
So yeah, I know she's a really big influence. Yeah. Wow. I definitely wouldn't know.
And the writing your mom writes on, not on one genre, ne? I saw that she's writing on different genres.
Yes.
Well. Okay. But
yeah, she writes a few.
But you are writing on one specific genre.
Yes, right? Just one at the moment. Yeah. It's not to say that I wouldn't like to try something else later on, but yeah, for the moment, for me, it's just romantic comedy.
For the moment, it's romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And you love it.
I do love it. Yeah, I do.
I have another question for you. How did your experiences in radio and various other jobs contribute to your writing style and process? The way that you are writing now and the genre that you are writing on now, what has been, like what influenced that as well in terms of your other experiences? Like you mentioned that you had an experience in radio a little bit. It's not a lot. I know you said it was just a little bit. And how has that influenced your writing journey? Your jobs, your experiences, how has that influenced your writing style as well?
Well, I've always been, I guess, drawn to the creative side of things, which is why as a kid I was into like acting, singing, and not dancing because I couldn't dance. But I was always into like the creative stuff. And then when I went to university, I decided to do radio production. And I had a really, really fun time. and I really loved writing out the pieces and then recording them. We did a lot of work like that, and so you had a lot of time to play around with words. And I noticed when I was at university, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. That didn't end up happening, but with my last job, I ended up putting together tours for high-end cruise ships.
Okay.
And with the tours, you would have to be quite creative and enticing with the language to draw the person in to want to go on that tour. And I really enjoyed that. And the company that I worked for had quite high standards, so it took quite a while, quite a few months, for anyone really to get into the role of creating the right tour. There was a lot of editing involved, a lot of rereading over your work, and tailoring it to each individual cruise line as well. So I think that helped me with my love of the written word. And I've always loved reading as well. I've always enjoyed reading all different genres. I'll read anything really, apart from horror, because I'm a bit of a scaredy cat.
But your mom is writing thrillers, right?
Thrillers, I can do thrillers, I can read thrillers, but just not horrors.
Not that.
No, not a horror.
Okay, so my next question was just that on your mom and yourself, and then I wanted to ask if there was a time that you guys had any conflict, when you were writing, when you were not agreeing, on what should be written on the book. Were there incidences like that, and how did you guys resolve that? Come to a conclusion that we are going with what Belle is saying, or we are going with you, mom. You know what you are saying.
Sure.
There in times like that, because obviously for her also, it was the first time she was co-writing, with somebody, and the daughter for that matter. And she had to go to the line somewhere.
Well, to be honest with you, she is so patient. And she really is. And looking back on it, there must have been times where she must have bit her tongue. But I was there I was very much there as a student, so I wasn't really there to argue with where she's going with it.
Basically, she was your mentor. Basically,
she was my mentor, and I respected. I respected that she was the one with all of the knowledge. When it came down to the actual, so with the structure, if I disagreed with something, we would just have a conversation about it, and it would normally end up that there was a reason why she had something in her mind and why she was thinking it. It was because romantic comedies have to hit certain beats. So she would explain that to me. But if there was something else and I wanted the story to go a different way, we would talk it through, and actually sometimes we would go with my idea. So there was a lot of conversations, and there wasn't, it was a long time ago now. It was like 7 years ago now, but I can't remember any conflict. So I remember it. I look back on it very fondly. It was a really lovely, lovely experience for me. I would go round to my mum and dad's. My daughter was obviously a baby. She would go and have a nap. And I'd go upstairs with my mum and we'd work a little bit on the book. It was so much fun. And I can't remember there being any conflict really. There's always there was always conversations about stuff. We wouldn't always agree on stuff, but we never never argued or anything.
Would you then that leads to my next question, would you then co-write with somebody else? You're writing on your own at the moment, you did with your mom, but would you consider co-writing a book with somebody? Would you do that? I
probably would, actually. I probably would. And that is something that I probably would do. And it's something that I've been discussing with someone, but it wouldn't be romantic comedy. It would be something.
Completely
different.
Okay, so the other question that I wanted to ask, as a self-published author, how do you manage time? How to manage your time, and how do you also stay motivated? A reason why I'm asking about this is I've met quite a few authors, And then that's when I actually understood the whole concept of self-published and why most people are moving towards the self-published route. So also there's a lot of challenges that comes with that, you know. In terms, that's why I'm asking. It's close to the question that's what I'm saying. How do you stay motivated? Because now you're self-published, you need to get your book out there, and then you need to make sure that you sell your book as well. And then if it doesn't sell, you know, you are the one promoting it and doing all these kind of things. You don't have a publishing house. Then how do you stay motivated after writing a book and you can see that your book is not, the sales are not coming, you know, as you expected, basically. So how do you stay motivated and get to that next book that you need to write? So now there is now not a +1. It didn't do well. Your sales, it didn't do as much as you thought, you know, and you've given so much of your time. But then there is a next one that you have, a next project that you have to do. How do you stay motivated as an author?
I think the indie author community is really helpful in helping you to stay motivated. I, as well as my family, I made friends with a lot of indie authors through Instagram, and they're really supportive. I think you do it because, you know, you have to love it, you have to really enjoy it. And I think that was what kept me going, because I enjoyed writing the books, and I just wanted to keep going with it. And in terms of selling books, it hasn't done as well as some of my other books, but it was still selling for quite some time, and it's got quite a lot. I think it's got 185 reviews, which in terms of being an indie author is good. So yeah, in terms of motivation, like the other authors around me helped with that. But also I just really enjoyed it. And with managing my time, I just had to be really, really strict. I've been really strict with it. So I would have in my head when I wanted it to be finished. And then I would have in my head how long I wanted it to be. So normally the books are between sort of 60,000 to 85,000. So if I would always estimate on the lower end, because when you edit it, you always add on more words. So I would estimate it to be about 60,000. So then I would break down the amount of words I would need to do per day and then per week. And then I would just monitor that and every week. And I would tend to be doing my writing for about 2 or 3 hours a day, between the hours of about 11 and 3, and that's I would just do it every day from Monday to Friday. In my earlier books as well, some of my earlier books I was getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and doing it for an hour in the morning, because I had a goal. I would set myself a goal of how many words per week, and I would always do that goal. And that was the only way that I could do it. I was very strict with myself. But also I use the method where you do I think it's called the Pomodoro method, where you focus for 20 minutes.
You okay?
Have you heard of it? So I'd set a timer on my phone for 20 minutes. And then I would be absolutely no distractions. I'd already have my little plan of what I wanted to write. So I'd have an idea, and then I'd have 20 minutes where I would just focus, no distractions. And then I'd have a 5-minute break, 20 minutes, no distractions. But after each 20-minute writing session, I would write down how many words I'd written, and that would keep me motivated and keep me going, because I think, I've written 500 words. I've just got to do 2 more sets of 20 minutes to finish my target for today. So that's how I would just break it down into tiny little goals. That's how I did it.
Awesome. That's awesome. You know what? That's what I was going to ask you. Follow-up question on that. With the writing, have you ever written something and don't finish it, and then say, you know what, I don't think this is going anywhere, and then you leave it? Let's just say you start a book and then you leave it. Have you ever done that, when you started a book and then you decided to leave that book and don't go back to it and write another one? Have you done?
Not yet. But I've written chapters and pieces that were supposed to be in books, and then I've taken them out.
Okay.
I've not started. I think that's called Kill Your Darlings, like, and that's really hard because there'll be. It's really hard to take things out that you think are great, but then when other people read them, they're like, no, take it out.
Check it out.
But that's why it's good to have that team around you, honest with you. And
Yes.
that's why I love
Yes.
like working with my family, because if there's something in one of my books and they think that it's not quite right, then they'll tell me, and it doesn't offend me because I think it's for the greater
Yes.
good,
It's
really.
gonna go.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you plan your beginning. Now the idea comes in, right? Like you've decided now you're gonna write this book. So you do your beginning, you do your middle, you do your end. So has there been a time when you like go back and then you've already planned the beginning, the middle and end, but then once you are writing the book, then the end changes?
Oh yeah, that's happened a few times. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because the characters have minds of their own sometimes. Yeah, and they just
Okay, so
when
that's
the,
what really
yeah,
happened. You
yeah,
know
the
why?
characters have
Because
minds of their own.
yeah, because what I'm saying this is I've heard some writers will say that they've done the book, the ending, and then they'll be told by their editors that no, the editor will be like, no, go change the ending. And then no, we don't like this ending. Go change the ending. So hence I'm asking you as a self-published, author, that it also comes to you that you know what, it's no longer this ending. It's this
Yeah,
ending now. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that has happened. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so what is the most rewarding part of writing for you? What's the most rewarding part when you are like, you know what, this is my best, the best thing that I've written. You know what?
Yeah.
What rewards you the most with your writing? What rewards you the most with your writing?
What's the most rewarding part of
Rewarding part
writing?
of writing is what is the
Yeah.
most rewarding part of writing is?
Well, for me, it's obviously the money is nice to get, it's nice to get paid, but
Besides the money.
yeah, that's nice, but
Yes.
the main thing for me is really nice when you get reviews, but when someone actually emails you to say how much they've enjoyed it, that's really, really lovely, and that's extremely rewarding. I think it's like when someone tells you that they've really enjoyed your book, that's the most rewarding part for me.
That's
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
then
lovely.
you know that I did a good job here,
Yeah.
And what's next then? What's next? I
Yeah.
think that's something that will make me, if I was the writer, the minute I get good feedback, like good reviews from the book and good sales for from the book as well, then I have to start thinking what's next.
Yeah.
What's next for me, Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you also, your latest book, You Go Girl.
Oh yeah.
You said it was inspired by a friend's plant shop, right?
Yeah.
So that's one we know. But the other ones, where do you normally find inspiration for the other books? So this one, the new one, the latest one, the You Go Girl. So you found the inspiration. We know where you found it. But the other ones, where do you find inspiration? Just like this, just says the not plus one. Not plus one. Not the plus one. Where did you find inspiration to write that one?
Well, not the first one. There was a few little bits of inspiration there where I took from my own life and people that I know. So the main character, Tilly, was a good friend of mine.
Really?
She was in a good friend of mine, and she knows as well, and she loves the book. She was in a bit of a similar situation when she had her little girl. She had a bit of a situationship with her ex, where he was trying to tie her. Sorry, can you hear my dog howling? Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, I didn't.
You can't hear her. Oh, good. Okay. She had a bit of a situationship with her ex-partner, where he was trying to pull her into work with her, and it was all too much. And there was other things going on in the background, and that made me think. And then that's how Not the Plus One
You're the plus
started.
one. Okay.
But actually the boat, the boat trip in Not the Plus One where they
Yes.
go on that was actually taken inspiration from a boat trip that I went on a Hindu, where it was so ropey that honestly I felt so poorly. I had to sit and it was me that was about to be sick, not anyone else. But so I took inspiration from that. But yeah, Not the Plus One, it was little things that had happened in my life, I guess. But sometimes you can take inspiration from like reading a book or watching a film or something like that. But with this particular one, it was just little things that had happened in my life, which
I think with the plus one, you just answered my question. One of the questions I was going to ask you from one of the ladies. She said, please can you ask Belle the experiences that Tilly had? Did she experience even one of those experiences? Is there even one she can relate to?
Well, I have to tell you, James is poorly over the side of the boat, isn't he?
Yes.
That actually happened to my partner in real life. And people were taking pictures of it. Yeah, I found it so funny. I had to include it. Yeah.
And for me, that
He's
book,
gonna kill me for this.
That book is finished. It finished me. There was so the book club is like, it's a ladies that we read with, and then you read on your own, the book, and then at home we don't read together. So you read on your own, and then we meet to review the book basically. Then we talk about the book. Then we have questions around the book. So when I was reading it, for me, when the ladies were writing questions, I was like, guys, I remember that one day I giggled in the room, and then my husband was like, what's going on now with Tilly? Because everything, I'm like, Tilly. And I laughed for a long time, and he said, I want to know, what did she do this time? I said, okay, Tilly wants to go to the ladies, and Tilly is now because she has this her stomachs, like bubbles in the stomach, and then now she's saying the wrong way. Do you remember when she said the wrong way? She wanted to go to the loo, and she said, I want to go she wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I was finished, and my husband was like, oh, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, you have no idea. And that month, you know what we do on our WhatsApp group? So when we read the book, then we don't want to spoil it for each other, because some people are fast readers, some are slow, but so long you finish it at the time, so then now you want to talk. Now you'll say, sorry guys, which page are you on? Because you want to talk.
Oh, I love that.
And like, what happened now, Penny? And I'm like, okay, guys, I want to talk about something. What do you think about finished? So it was the most hilarious book that we read. We were so happy about the book. But so that one lady, it was one of the questions I'm going to ask you at the end. Okay, so the other one is, you've written several chick lit books. What drew you to that genre, and what do you hope readers take away from your stories? So that's what we just want to find out, what from the feedback that you've had from your followers as well, what are they taking the most from the stories that you are telling?
Yeah,